got a chance to see Beetlejuice with Michael Keaton and Winona Ryder. Let's talk about it right now. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thank you so much for spending time with me as we rant about movies, comic books, and television shows, as well as the occasional board game. I am your host, Frank Zanca. I'm an award-winning screenwriter, novelist, and comic book writer, as well as a filmmaker, working on a reality show right now. I'm going to work on a feature after that, and I just heard that we got a pretty big feature might be coming in the door right after that. So keep my fingers crossed that everything's starting to go back the way it was. Especially now in Atlanta. I haven't even worked in Atlanta yet, and I've lived here for almost a year. Crazy. All right, but remember to give me that like, give me that subscribe if you can, ring that bell, and remember, too, that I am also a board game designer, and me and Mark Spears, who does a lot of cover art. He just did a Spawn cover this week. He did 2 covers, I think. Spawn was just one of them, and I'm off the screen here. But I'm doing Myth Lords. It'll be launching in October for, of course, Halloween. And we're going to be launching it on Kickstarter. And if you want to click the link in the description below, it'll take you over there so you can get notified. Just clicks one button and you sign up for it. And then it notifies you when we launch. So yeah, it's going to be awesome. Classic monsters. Everything you need is in the box. Very easy card game to learn. You can learn in about 10 minutes. All right, so let's jump into talking about Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice, I'm a big fan of the original. I've seen it many, many times. In fact, I just saw it again like less than a month ago because I was preparing for this movie. I hadn't seen it for a while. It popped up, so I figured I'd give it a shot. And I said, all right, I'll just watch like 5 minutes of it, and ended up watching the whole thing. So pretty amazing stuff. Tim Burton, of course, doing Batman and Nightmare Before Christmas and many other things that he's known for. He's, of course, has that same dark, macabre type of look and feel to his stuff. Of course, he was also, I think, an animator for Disney at one time. So he definitely has a history of drawing, this stuff out himself, and then from there, imagining it in real life or in animation, stop motion, etc. I mean, the guy's pretty amazing. Here we go with now 35 years later, in the vein of Top Gun Maverick, coming back with the same characters that are obviously much older now, and now basically continuing a storyline with characters that were previously constructed back in the 80s and back when imagination was rampant. It's not like that anymore. We rely on making remakes and sequels because imagination has died. So they have to go continually mine the late 70s, early 80s, because that's when all of the great thinkers and the great creators were alive. You can't say that about even the 90s or the 2000s. You have to go back to the 80s. It's just the way it was. It was a freer time back then. We didn't have all of the political restraints that we have now. It was, you wanted to make something, you make it. Is it going to do well? Who knows? Roll the dice. But even the studios and networks were more apt to take chances than they are now. And I think that's because there was a lot more outlets for selling than there is now, where now all we have is streaming. And we were just talking about that today. I was on the phone with a producer today, and there's no way of tracking how much money you're made. Because even My Western, the distribution company, openly told me that, no, we haven't been paying you. We're in financial difficulty, so we've been stealing your money for years. Crazy. It's absolutely insane. Where back in the day with DVD sales and VHS sales, you made a certain amount of product. They tracked how much product was sold. and, whatever was left over was the remaining inventory. Now it's just like, oh yeah, it's on 22 different channels. Well, how much? I don't know. We're not tracking any of that. It's in the air. It's in the cloud. Who knows? Oh, you want to make money off the cloud? No. No. It's ours. We'll make whatever money we make. And here's a whole bunch of zeros. It's amazing. So, again, we're going with a brand new type of sequel now. But I got to say that along the lines of Top Gun Maverick, Tim Burton did recapture the look and feel of the original to a degree. So this is a mixed bag movie for me. I've watched a whole bunch of different reviews at this point from various YouTube reviewers, and some of them agree with me where it's a mixed bag, and some of them just love it, and then there's Snarky Jay who just hated the shit out of it. I didn't hate it. I'll tell you that right off the bat. I did not hate this film. I didn't love it. I wanted to love it, but I just couldn't. So this is the story of Winona Ryder now, who's obviously older. And Snarky J also said that Winona Ryder really wasn't in the film much. She was in the film quite a bit. If anything, it was her story more than anybody else's. But anyway, so I'm not going to go into spoilers here at all. I'm just going to tell the general, plot line. So she has a TV show where she talks about haunted houses. She can see ghosts, okay? So it's Sixth Sense type of thing where she can see ghosts, and she doesn't realize if they're real or not at times. And Jenna Ortega is her daughter. Her husband / Jenna Ortega's dad died. He was an activist and died in Brazil or something to that effect. So she blames her mom for it and not being able, I guess because they never said goodbye, she blames her mom for not being able to see and communicate with the one ghost that she wants to speak to. Meanwhile, Catherine O'Hara is back. She has now a successful gallery when obviously she had a big problem. Nobody wanted to buy any of her sculptures. And the good thing is that we see her sculptures, like the tree sculpture with the arms that we saw in the first one, we see that throughout the film, which I thought was interesting. Of course, the house is back. It was good to see the house again. We got to see the model of the town again. In fact, that's the opening credits as we're switching back between the real town and the model. Beetlejuice is still pining for her. Meanwhile, she has a love interest. Since the husband died, now she has a new love interest who is her manager, agent, something like that. And I know Justin Trudeau. I know a lot of people are saying that he was funny, that they liked him. I did not care for his character one bit. I mean, not one bit. He's from Mulholland Drive back in the day. He's from American Psycho, Girl on a Train. So he hasn't really done a whole lot of... those are all dramas that I just named. So he really hasn't done a whole lot of comedy. And I just felt like he was trying so hard. So I don't know. I definitely did not like him as much as some other people liked him. I could have done without him completely. He wasn't like the fashion designer. I thought the fashion designer was at least endearing to a certain degree from the first film, and I just didn't get that out of him. And Michael Keaton in this playing Beetlejuice, he was good, but he wasn't as good as I liked him in the first movie. I thought he was holding back a little bit, if that makes any sense. I just felt like he was holding back. There was some really good scenes with him, and then there was, and then we had, the shrunken head guys, that was funny. And we do see the original father, like Winona Ryder's father, but not in the same way. I'm not going to give it away about what he looks like now, but he's back, but not back. So there's two different storylines here. So, of course, as we know, Tim Burton was directing, but the writers involved here are major writers. All right, so we had Alfred Goff and Miles Millar are writer/producing partners. They've been around for years. They did Wednesday. They did one of my favorite series of all time, Into the Badlands. They were executive producers on that. I mean, these guys have credits, amazing credits, and they're as old as I am. And they did Smallville, Spider-Man 2, Shannara Chronicles, The Mummy, Tomb of the Dragon, Emperor. So they have some misses as well. But Into the Badlands is great, of course. Wednesday is great. You know, I Am Number 4, that's another one that's So they have a hit and miss type of thing going on. But again, Spider-Man 2 is, you know, one of the best Spider-Man films there was. So you have those two guys, and then you have a third writer, Seth Grahame-Smith. And, you know, he's got some credits under him, too. He's a younger guy, but he did It. He did Dark Shadows, which that's how, of course, Tim Burton's connected with both of these guys. He did Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, which I like. I know a lot of people hate that film, but I like it. Lego Batman movie. I mean, these guys have some... And then, of course, there's also Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter that he did. So he might be a little hit and miss as well. But these guys are not slouches in any way, shape, or form. But my biggest problem with this film is that the script was bloated. I mean, it was bloated. So you could have cut... It really starts at the funeral. The funeral that you see in the trailer, that's where the movie begins. But that thing is like 20 minutes in. They could have cut out those first 20 minutes and you would not have noticed. And then Monica Bellucci's part, that of course you saw her in the trailer too, where she has the staple marks all the way through her face. And that had some interesting beginnings and stuff like that. But that was a second storyline. It was a B-line storyline. You didn't need it at all. You could have eliminated that entire storyline and nobody would have noticed. So that's what I'm saying. It's at least a half hour to 35 minutes too long for what it was. You could have knocked it down to a very, very slim 90 minutes and it would have been a better film. And I think that some of the jokes landed, some of it didn't. I did like the A-line storyline once it got going. Because once it got going, then it went on overdrive. It was just... Phew. But to get to that point, it took forever. And I was like, all right, let's get it moving. Let's get it moving. Come on. I don't need to know any more about what's going on here or what's going on there. I just need to get this thing moving. So it was a very slow train. It was like a, and then once it got going towards the end, everything was, hunky-dory. But getting to that point was like pulling teeth, man. And I'm sure that Tim Burton didn't want to delete anything, but it really needed a hacker in the, and I'm talking about a hack and slash, not a computer hacker. It needed a hack and slash guy in that editing room. And they didn't have it. So I liked it. I didn't love it. And I didn't hate it either. So I'm just in that middle of the road. It was better than an average film because of the look and feel and the acting. Like, Winona Ryder knows how to use her eye. She has like this eye thing going on where she just has these huge bulge eye shots going on where she doesn't have to talk and she's just funny. So her and Michael Keaton really know how to play off each other with that. And Catherine O'Hara doesn't really have a whole lot with Michael Keaton. I wish there was more with Michael Keaton and Jenna Ortega. There isn't a whole lot there either. I would, because again, we have this B storyline that's just taking up time where we could have really focused on the main family and Beetlejuice. And we didn't. And some of the resolution that happens is like, I'm like, okay, that's it. Okay. All right, well, that was easy. There's also the relationship, the mother-daughter relationship between Winona Ryder's character, Lydia Dietz, and Astrid, which is Jenna Ortega. And I think that was good. I think that arc, that's really what the whole arc is. That's the basis for the film. And again, we could have spent more time with that, but again, we get to see Jenna Ortega in college. Why? There's absolutely no reason for it at all. You could have eliminated that scene. You wouldn't have known anything, because all the information we got was about the father, and we get that like 2 other times. So I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10. Again, I think it's better than average. I probably will watch it again, but I'm not going out of my way to watch it again. It was not as good as the original. Some people are saying it's better than the original. It's definitely not. We don't get to see Alec Baldwin, and we don't get to see those two at all ever again. So too bad. I would have liked to have seen them. I would have liked to have seen them move on. I would have liked to have seen that be the beginning of the film, where she was helping them move on. But instead, we just hear about it. All right. Well, that's it for me. Let me know what you guys think. Did you guys love it? Did you hate it? Did you feel like me that it was kind of middle of the road? I had some really good stuff and not so good stuff. Let me know what you guys think. Remember, too, to give me that like, give me that subscribe if you can. Ring that bell, ding, ding. And also remember that down below, we have the link for the Kickstarter where you can sign up to be notified about Mythlord's Classic Monsters card game, where you're playing as the classic monsters and you're creating an army of monsters versus monsters by recruiting things like the Bride of Frankenstein, or Mr. Hyde, the Mummy, and then you're fighting over the Mummy's tomb or Dracula's castle and things to that effect. It's lots of fun. And at very least, you're going to love the artwork. Who doesn't love classic monsters during the October season? Anyway, check out that link below. Check out some other videos on your way out, and I will see you guys on the next episode. Thank you again for watching, guys. Have a great week.